Hey, this is Carlos Cavallo, and welcome to Dating Advice Guru Secrets About Men. I'm going to tell you 7 secrets about men today about what men want in bed. Well, there seems to be 2 different schools of thought when it comes to sex and guys. Guys are either tricky to satisfy sexually, you need a lot of tricks and techniques to make them happy in bed, or guys are super simple to keep happy in the bedroom, just give it up regularly. Well, they're both true and a little false at the same time. Let me explain. First of all, let me do something that I do best. Let's bust some myths, shall we? There are so many myths about men, but here are a few that you should know about. Sex myth number 1, guys want sex all the time. Well, this one's kind of deadly because it paints men as being, well, mindless tools. Get it? Tools? Anyway, that are blinded by their sexual desire. It's true that a man's sexual need is much more of an urgency than women's, but we're still capable of not running naked through the streets. Apparently, there's a statistic that men think about sex every 7 seconds, or something absurd like that. I think some lonely researcher with a calculator went crazy on that one. They figured that guys say they think about sex 500 times a day, and they divided 24 hours by 500 and got 7 seconds. Hey, keep in mind that we think about food and work more than that, and probably video games too. No, men don't think about it that much. We want sex, we think about sex, but it doesn't override our ability to function normally in society. Sex myth number 2, guys want sex instead of relationships. Again, wrong. This is one I'm really happy to bust because it's another way that the media will make you think that men are these mindless, sex-crazed machines. This myth is so deeply ingrained that people are convinced that guys who claim to want relationships rather than casual sex are either incredibly rare, like unicorns, or simply full of crap. The truth is that guys want sex earlier in the relationship. That's earlier, not instead of. Men are just fine with a relationship, and yes, we're fine with commitment. But that's a topic for another article. Sex myth number 3. Men have sex earlier than women and have more sexual partners. Well, in truth, men and women typically lose their virginity at about age 17. Surveys have indicated that men have a median of 7 sexual partners for a woman's 4. Now, the problem with that is, of course, that first of all, it's a survey. You don't get valid information from a survey. You get it from seeing people's actions. Not that you could verify this kind of claim, but you get my point. Second of all, the math in that kind of claim makes no sense at all. I mean, guys are having sex with women, right? So the women's numbers shouldn't be that far off from the men's. Unless all that sex, of course, is with a few women who never take these surveys, which is always a possibility, I suppose. So that can't be true, just based on simple logic and math. Now, the reality is that men typically overstate their number of sexual partners, and women tend to understate theirs. You see, men are revered more for having more partners, and women are more revered for having fewer partners. And here's an interesting statistic that you might not have known about. Virgins make up 12.3% of females and 14.3% of males ages 20 to 24. Think about that for a second. There are more male virgins between 20 and 24 than female. Do what you will with that information. So now that I've opened up the kimono on a few of those little sex myths about men, let's get into some of the things that matter to you. Let's talk about the sex secrets that will keep him happy in the bedroom. Let's talk about 7 sex secrets about men to make both of you happier in bed. Sex secret number 1 is that guys love it when you take the lead. Yes, men do like to know that they were the ones that actually got you there, that got you into bed, and that you are actually consenting right along there with him. That much proves our masculine power and virility. However, what most women may not know is how much we like the opposite, too. When a woman attacks us and drags us into bed, it's another kind of validation for us, just as it is for women. And this is where we run into a little bit of trouble. Most women want men to initiate, mostly so she can know that she is desirable in his eyes. And unfortunately, most women don't feel comfortable initiating sex due to that slut-shaming stigma that's still created by most cultures. When men have to initiate every single time, it makes us feel less desirable, and it can give us performance anxiety. So while it may take a little extra effort on your part, recognize that guys do love it when you take the leadership role in the bedroom. Being desired is a turn-on for both sexes, and it's one that men want just as much as women. If you can get the chance and the guts, push his back against the wall, straddle him, and then grind to climax. Yeah, you know, that circular hip grind thing you can do. Okay, number 2, we want you to use your hands. Guys crave a woman's touch. Even when we're in the most intimate kind of body-to-body contact in the bedroom, your hands on us are an incredible turn-on. Here are a few ways you can get your hands-on action moving. Grab his arms, especially when he's on top and supporting himself above you. It makes us feel stronger and more powerful when you clutch our arms. Scratch his back, gently. This can be a huge turn-on. Rub his shoulders. When he's stressed out, focusing on this area will help untangle him. Reach behind his back and reach into his hair with your fingers. The feel of your hands stimulating our scalp can give us chills galore. Number 3 tip is nurture and love us. As much as you might think that men want to be beaten and whipped into submission, the truth is that men want and need women to give us the kind of tender nurturing that we almost never get in our daily lives. If you compare the day-to-day interactions of men versus women, you'll see that women get far more nurturing touch than men do. In fact, if a guy is single, he gets almost no meaningful physical contact on any given day. Think about that for a second. So when it comes to sex, guys want more loving touch that they don't normally get regularly on their own. It's going to both enhance and deepen the intimate contact you have in the bedroom. Sex can be a caretaking event that leaves his emotional batteries charged for yet another day. Number 4 is never judge or look disgusted with us. Guys want to be intimate with you and to ask for stuff in bed without feeling like we're being judged or criticized for it. We need you to be open and loving, even if he comes up with something that you're not down with trying. Instead of looking revolted and turning him down right away, like, nope, no way, remember that you have to be gentle, or he might decide that he doesn't want to risk that kind of reaction from you ever again. And that means he's going to shut down and start to keep his sexual desires more secretively, or seek them out in porn. Instead of refusing outright, redirect his request. Say something like, hey, why don't we do this? That would feel great. Keep things in a positive state in the bedroom, too. Don't tell him what you don't like. Tell him what you do. And number 5, respect him as a man in bed. Both men and women want emotional as well as physical satisfaction in bed. And many men feel like their masculinity is just as naked to a woman as they are when it comes to sex. He wants to feel manly and competent with you when it comes to lovemaking, which means he can't feel like he's in competition either. Men tend to be sexually dominant in the bedroom, and that's not a bad thing. That doesn't mean one of you is better than the other. You can still be equals and allow him the ability to be the man. Number 6 is more meaningful eye contact and noise. One thing guys like to see is that you're there with us. You're present. Just as much as you want him to be thinking about you and having sex with your body, not a daydream, well, we need that from you too. Having you close your eyes to go inside is expected when you're working to orgasm, but before you get completely absorbed in your work, let him know he's your focus. He's your focus and your desire. Make eye contact that says, yes, I want you, with an emphasis on the you. Eye contact is incredibly sexy to guys when we're in bed with you. And it's one thing you might notice is highlighted in men's porn. They know the psychology of men and what we want when they make those movies, so there's a lot to learn from how the women behave in them. Another unspoken desire is for you to let out some noise when things are getting hot and heavy. Even if it's the good old yes, yes, or a few moans, you got to let us know when we're doing things right. Men complain that they don't get enough feedback in bed, and it's something we can go back and analyze later. Men complain that they don't get enough feedback in bed, and it's not something that we can go back and analyze later to figure out how well we did. So let us know that we're doing a good job and that you're not bored. Number 7 is head. Yep, BJ's, oral, whatever you want to call it. It's bliss for men. As a rule in intimate relationships, you can never give enough blowjobs, period. Have I made my point here? The fact is that almost all healthy men enjoy it, whether we admit it in conversation or not. Every single woman I know in a long-term relationship where they've been together for a good period of time and the relationship is solid always credits this one act to keeping her man happy and faithful. Somebody even called it love insurance. As a matter of fact, one lady friend of mine I know calls it the secret to marriage. It's that potent. There are several reasons, but 2 stand out the most. Physically, it just feels great. You can focus on the pleasure zones, teasing and tantalizing and drawing out the ecstasy. And if you're sincere and eager, There's nothing that feels better to his ego. And it's not because he needs his manhood to be worshipped or any of that nonsense. Men love it because it's a symbol and an act of acceptance, which is not something men get a lot of from women in general. Not to mention there's a little of the give to get involved, so you can get your itch scratched when it's time too. So there you go, 7 useful tips for making a man happier in bed. But like I said, men are just as interested in a committed long-term relationship as women. And if you want a guy to stick around after a steamy romp between the sheets, you can try my advanced strategies on making him want you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. My course, Irresistible Desire, shows you step by step how to make him stay with you inside and outside the bedroom. So go on over to datingadviceguru.com/irresistible. That's datingadviceguru.com/irresistible. And I'll be talking again soon. This is Carlos Cavallo from datingadviceguru.com.